yourself?
No,
Get say you just surrender and give him 100K and surrender.
Get say you're coming in half an hour. I said that.
A lot of people would be a lot richer if they did that.
You sit down and then they start waiting.
No, this is 11.
No. I don't think get flat the hand.
All right, so Jason Koon opened 11,000. This is not a straddle pot, just 2,000, 4,000 with a 4,000 ante. Kane Kalas is going to squeeze with pocket tens right now to 55,000. He's kind of like the first pot. He's 3-bet. Jason Koon with ace queen might feel this is a tighter range, but might still feel a little obligated to see a flop.
In this video for PokerNews.com, we are playing a giant, serious game at Triton Poker. They are playing 2,000, 4,000 with a 4,000 ante. In this hand, Jason Koon in the hijack seat raises it up to 11,000 with ace queen offsuit, playing about 900,000 deep. Mikita Bedzikowski in the small blind opposite call with the 9-8 of clubs, which is perfectly reasonable. And then Kane Kalas, who the commentators seem to say has been playing relatively tightly, bumps it up to 55,000 with pocket tens, which is perfectly fine. It is worth noting that when you are playing live cash games, if you are not a regular in those games, now I don't know if Kane is regular in these games. I haven't seen him on a ton of these super duper high stakes streams. Maybe he's playing the games all the time. I do not know. But if you're not a regular in these games and you're playing kind of tightly, you have to realize that people are going to overfold to you in general. So you have to be a little bit careful 3-betting stuff like pocket tens if your opponents are going to be folding out the loosey-goosey, splashy, have a sandwich type hands, because then you're just not going to get value. And if they do stick around, they're usually going to have a really, really, really strong range that has a hand like pocket tens in marginal shape. Now, look, I still would have 3-bet the pocket tens. That's just good, strong poker. But you have to be a little bit careful, especially when you're playing very deep stacked as they are. They're playing with a 4,000 big blind, 900,000 deep, so 225 big blinds. Back around to Jason Koon. Let's see how he responds.
You look funny on TV.
That's
Up to you. Okay.
the Chinese like funny faces.
Okay. Oh, I'll do the same then.
So he is going to actually 4-bet here to 120,000. His read is that Kalas is just going to play very straightforward.
Instead of calling, Jason Koon decides to bluff. He takes the ace-queen offsuit and makes it 120,000, which I love. You have to realize that when you are playing deep stacked cash games, you really, really, really want to see the flop with suited hands. And you don't especially want to see the flop with offsuit hands that can find themselves in a really nasty spot where they make something like top pair and are dominated to death. So this is a spot where a lot of Jason's offsuit hands are just going to fold out. But he does need to find some bluffs. And you're going to find that when you are playing very deep stack cash games, your best bluffs are going to be with usually suited aces, suited connectors, and your best offsuit hands that are not quite good enough to continue, which is going to be ace-queen offsuit in this scenario. So Jason does know what he's doing. He bumps it up to 120,000. Back around to Kane. Nasty spot with the pocket tens, huh?
So this is Kane's first 3-bet.
What time is it? No.
He's been 4-bet.
Jeju, 23rd of July, okay? Make sure you're Jeju. I mean,
I don't need a visa, do I?
So I think Kane's going to try and see a flop.
Basically,
gonna have 2 million.
120,000 euros each in there.
While it is a nasty spot, you have to realize Kane has to call 65 more to try to win a pot of 263 with pocket tens. Even if he is going to be against a really strong range, you just have to call. I think a lot of people get in their heads and think, oh, I could be beat. And if I'm ahead, they have ace king, and that's not great either. But you have to realize, especially against good, strong, world-class players like Jason Koon, they're going to find bluffs. Jason Koon will find some bluffs with some suited aces and or suited connectors and or offsuit high cards, mainly ace queen. And I mean, sure enough, he does. So against that range, Kane has way more than 20% equity or 25% equity, whatever he needs. He's going to realize far more than that, even with a hand that's going to be kind of tough to play post-flop like pocket tens. So he calls. Let's see if he loses 900,000 euros.
That's the cool thing about JJ. His
Flop
visa,
is 653
30-day visa on
rainbow.
arrival for Chinese. Where the rest of South Korea, you gotta apply for the visa. And Macau has
Chinese
7-day
visa free.
visa. But so this is why Jeju's, it's closer than Macau to Shanghai. And,
Hey, Tom, is Jeju better than Manila? Really?
both are right.
It's better than Manila by like safety-wise.
It's
Yeah.
safer, I'm sure. Yeah.
Jeju, we get all our.
I mean, I don't even know about this like Jeju or something, but Manila is definitely like on the bottom of any rating. So
You see the that just happened there? The
So 128,000 from Jason Koon.
And, you know, like,
Can't imagine Kalas
last few days.
doing anything but
Manila
calling.
even?
Philippines. Really big problem. The head of the Supreme Court, they were pushing out, which was like the end
I
of
remember we had
democracy or whatever.
I remember we had a Triton there, and like a week after or something, there was some shooting in casinos and stuff like.
Yeah.
But then they were like appealing, so I don't know if the Chief Justice lady's gonna get back in. But
Well, Manila, Philippines. Yeah.
All right, so he's
Here,
going to go for
Montenegro is
calling
pretty
chips.
nice, huh? Like the weather,
coastline especially is
safety.
so
Yes.
nice.
If there's a problem, we don't go. And the
Here comes a
problem,
turn.
our problem.
Koon has 24% chance to win the spot.
Flop comes 6, 5, 3. No flush draws. Kane, out of position, is going to check with his entire range. Jason is going to be betting very frequently in this spot. He goes for 128,000 into the 263,000 pot, so a little bit less than half pot, which I think is fine and reasonable. As he thinks Kane has more sets in his range, I think Jason needs to be more inclined to go for a small bet size in general, but as pocket aces, kings, and queens become the super duper nuts, I think Jason can just start betting bigger in general, and that is exactly what he does. He probably presumes Kane's not 3-betting 6s, 5s, or 3s too often pre-flop, which means that a lot of Jason's best hands, mainly aces and kings, do very well against Kane's best hands, mainly queens, jacks, and 10s. So because of that, that's going to allow Jason to bet a little bit bigger. Over to Kane. He has a nasty spot, but you can't go around folding an overpair. Again, getting very good pot odds. He needs to realize 25% equity. Even with an overpair that's going to be absolutely smashed some portion of the time, you have to stick around because this is a spot Jason is probably going to continuation bet very, very frequently. And to be fair, the nice thing about this board is that sometimes Jason just has a hand like ace-4 suited that's going to bet the flop and triple it off. Or random overcards like ace-queen that are always going to have some equity and may decide to triple it off. So, call and see what develops.
Looking for an ace or a queen. To turns a 10, so top set for Kalas. He's got a 100% chance to win here. He should just keep checking, trying to let Koon barrel him off of a pair, I suppose.
Big pot here.
You're making this Jeju place sound really like someplace I don't want to go.
No, it's alright. It's fine. It's like,
And
mean, it's
maybe,
not-
Jagger, you buy another condo there. Villa.
See how this game goes.
I
It's
bought,
not like
I bought 2
Montenegro.
villas,
Yeah?
2 big villas,
Uh-huh.
8 smaller villas. You
think-
want, I can give you one.
Koon's got to be careful that Kane has like pocket jacks or pocket queens a lot, and I really don't think he's going to fold those hands. He actually has top set.
those aren't really-
You know, like Disneyland.
Oh, you mean the Janu ones?
Yeah,
no,
within the property.
Oh,
They're very nice.
by a condo.
Okay.
Jeju.
Jeju Shinhua.
Oh, okay.
SHINHWA.
Yeah. Is it as
Jeju
expensive?
Shinhua.
Is it as expensive as the one here?
The turn is a dream for Kane Kalas because now he knows he's probably going to win this pot. Unless he's against ace-4 suited and the straight comes. He checks, and Jason Koon has to decide if he wants to bluff with his hand. So, at this point, the pot's 519,000 with about 664 remaining. This is a spot where I think some people think their only options are all-in or check, but you definitely should have a small bet size in this scenario because if you consider Jason's best hands, mainly aces and kings, those are in amazing shape against Kane's range. Now, I realize Kane does have the pocket 10s and aces are in bad shape, but if Kane has a lot of hands like queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s, ace high, etc., aces and kings smash those, and they, therefore, want to give those hands decent odds to call. Also, Jason's bluffs are not going to have a ton of equity to the point that they're happy just ripping it in. Typically, when your bluffs have very good equity, like straight flush draws, you don't mind shoving because you always have pretty good odds to win, even if you do get called. But with a hand like ace queen, if you shove and get called, you're going to be drawing thin-ish or perhaps even dead, like he is in this scenario. So this is a spot where when you do decide to bet, you usually want to bet very, very small with a relatively polarized range of probably aces and kings plus a few bluffs. And if you consider the bluffs Jason has, I don't exactly know what they are because I'm not sure how he's structuring his pre-flop range, but he does have to be a little bit careful betting stuff like 9-8 suited or 8-7 suited because he doesn't want to bet those and then get shoved off of them. So therefore, you probably want to bet hands that are more likely to be okay with betting and then folding to a shove. And I think ace-queen is probably a hand that makes a whole lot of sense for that, right? Like if you had ace-4 suited, it's kind of like the 8-7. You don't really want to bet and get shoved. That said, it's probably fine just to bet a lot of these hands. I mean, you got to realize Jason's probably going to have a very low frequency of suited aces, suited connectors, and offsuit high cards in general. So maybe you can just bet with all of them depending on exactly how his range is structured. All this is to say, sure, go for the bet. He does. Go for the small bet. 160K. It is doomed. Let's see how Kane responds with his set.
More. No.
Imagine it sounds cheaper. Oh. Not much
Jason
money.
Koon betting 160,000.
Beautiful, right? Or like,
Huh?
Macau.
I feel like
I
he's
bought the villa like for
betting like this to shove the river. That's a blank. Trying to represent aces and
15
kings.
million US last year. This year I sold it for 18 million.
Oh, already? Nice.
We sold one. We have two. So
I didn't know that. The project's doing good.
Chinese guy want to buy it.
So Kane calls again.
Then he like the place.
I don't really think Koon expected Kane to fold the turn too much. So I hope Koon has a plan. 839,000 euros in there. I think people are being a little bit more quiet now that the spot's getting bigger.
This is a situation a lot of people screw up by going all in. A lot of people think, all right, I have top set. I'm going to win. Let me put all my money in. But no, Kane's a good, strong, world-class poker player. He fully recognizes Jason's drawing dead or nearly dead the vast majority of the time. So if he's drawing dead or nearly dead, what should Kane do? Well, the answer is not go all in, because if you go all in, Jason's going to fold everything. Now, if he somehow knew Jason was a weak, tight knit, and he only had aces and kings and queens in his range, then yeah, shove and just get called, right? The thing is, though, is that Jason's going to have some bluffs. We've already listed them. And therefore, you really want to keep Jason in. Now, look, Jason will have ace-4 suited sometimes, 8-7 suited sometimes, and he is going to spike and stack Kane. But he's also going to have stuff like ace-queen, maybe ace-king, maybe ace-jack even. And if he has those hands in his range, you really want to keep those in and either give them a chance to bluff the river or improve to an ace that can then conceivably value bet. So, call. Good call, Kane. Let's go to the river.
River's an ace. That is a bad card for Jason Koon. He might think he can value shove this hand. Kane is loving this card because this is a good river card to bluff at. Also, Koon might actually have ace king or ace queen.
No, I don't think. I think Jason. Not sure. But
Kane should check. Feign weakness. Try to make it look like you have jacks or queens that is scared of the ace.
The river is an absolute disaster for Jason Koon because now he improves to top pair that may be good enough to value bet. Kane checks, as he should do. Again, don't lead in this spot. That will allow Jason to get off the hook with all of his marginal stuff and his hands that are just total trash. So the question then becomes, what should Jason do with top pair, second kicker? Should he check, bet 200,000, or bet 504,000, putting Kane all in? Take a second, think about it, and write what you would do in the comment section down below. Pretend like you don't know Kane's cards. And while you're down there, do me a favor, click the like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you.
So Jason Koon shoves all in, and Kane Kalas,
500, right?
he played one pot, but he just won 920,000 euros, 131,000 euros. Very sick. Yeah, it's the room is silent now because,
Kane, just check this stack, yeah.
yeah, this is a huge pot. Jason Koon made a play at that one, and you know, I think he was gonna shove anyways, but like he was excited that he actually got to quote unquote value bet his ace.
After a bit of deliberation, Jason Koon decides to go for full value. He rips it all in. Kane, of course, gobbles it up and stacks Jason Koon for about 900,000 euros. You may say, should Jason have bet smaller on the river? The problem with betting small on the river in position is that you open yourself up to getting bluffed some portion of the time. And if you do bet 200K on the river, and Kane does decide to have a giant amounts of fortitude and courage, then you have to fold. And you really don't want to be betting a hand like queen, ace queen here, then folding it to a shove, or betting and calling it off is also pretty gross, because is he really going to have that much fortitude? Most people do not. I certainly wouldn't. So this is a spot where I think Jason's only options are to check or value bet. If you think, a value bet all in, right? If you think Kane's going to fold out kings, queens, jacks to a shove, then going all in is quite bad, right? Because then you're only going to get called by maybe like ace four suited. I mean, it's kind of hard to find very many hands that could even call in that spot that you beat. But if Kane will find a call with kings, queens, and jacks, which should be a large chunk of his range, then value betting makes a whole lot of sense. So maybe the value bet's good, maybe it's not. I'm going to presume it's good because Jason Koon is one of the best players in the world. He rips it in, he gets stacked, and Kane's happy.